forced kissing, coercion, unwanted sexual emails, stalking, unwanted groping, forced touching, unwanted sexual comments, pressured sexual activity, wolf whistling, sexual harassment, catcalling, sexual assault, unwanted sexual jokes, and rape. Abusive conduct. The other main type of harassment that occurs in the workplace is abusive or discriminatory conduct. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission uses the term unlawful harassment for this type of harassment in the workplace. Other terms that are also used to describe this behavior are abusive conduct, discrimination, and bullying. The EEOC's definition of the unlawful harassment is unwelcome intimidation, ridicule, insult, comments, or physical conduct based on race, color, religion, sex, whether or not of a sexual nature, origin, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, or retaliation. The conditions for abusive conduct are basically the same as the conditions for sexual harassment. They include submission to the conduct is explicitly or implicitly a condition of employment, the victim's refusal or acceptance of the behavior influences decisions concerning their employment, and finally, the conduct unreasonably interferes with the victim's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. When it isn't harassment. It is critical to understand that isolated incidents, annoyances, and petty snubs, unless extremely serious, are not usually severe enough to be considered unlawful harassment. What does abusive or discriminatory conduct include? Unlawful harassment or abusive conduct includes many different things. Below are a few examples of what could be considered harassment. Intimidating an employee by excessive yelling, repeated emotional outbursts, berating others, using an unreasonably harsh tone of voice, arbitrary or punitive punishment without cause or unreasonable micromanaging, and making humiliating or degrading remarks to a coworker in front of others, or any malicious behavior that a reasonable person would find unprofessional, disturbing, and or harmful to his or her psychological health. We will take a moment to read through some additional ways that abusive conduct can take place in the workplace. These forms of harassment are also called discrimination, abusive conduct, or bullying. Some forms of indirect work bullying include unjustified criticism or complaints, deliberately excluding someone from the workplace activities, or deliberately denying access to information or other resources. Some examples of direct work bullying include verbal abuse, putting someone down and humiliating a person through gestures, sarcasm, criticism, teasing, and insults, often in front of others, or spreading rumors or innuendos about somebody. Most types of abusive conduct or unlawful harassment fit into the following 6 categories: false accusations, sabotage, withholding necessary resources, put-downs, unreasonable work demands, and exclusion. Harassment in the modern workplace. This section will review types of harassment that are not new in the workplace, but are recently becoming more predominant in the claims being filed and in recognition by HR managers. This includes harassment across genders, harassment based on sexual orientation or gender identity, and harassment across religions. Male sexual harassment. Traditionally, sexual harassment was thought of only to occur by men to women. In the past, it was thought of as caused by unfulfilled sexual attraction or an affair gone wrong. It has been found that sexual harassment is not about sexual attraction, but about wielding power and controlling others through humiliation. This is especially true with male sexual harassment perpetrated by another male or a group of males. Same-sex harassment has only been recognized in the court system for about 20 years. The first case was an oil rig employee who quit his job due to sexual assaults by 3 other men, one being his supervisor. There are some instances where females harass males as well. However, the overwhelming majority of sexual harassment claims by men are actually against other men. Although the most sexual harassment claims are still filed by women, male sexual harassment is on the rise. Newsweek found that between 1992 and 2008, the number of sexual harassment charges filed by men with the EEOC doubled from 8% to 16%. Harassment based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Harassment or discrimination based on sexual orientation includes being harassed because of your perceived or real sexual orientation. This includes being targeted for being homosexual, bisexual, or heterosexual, as well as non-conforming gender identity. Normally, this takes place on the form of heterosexuals harassing or bullying homosexuals or transgender co-workers. However, it is also possible to take place in reverse. There are no specific federal laws at the moment protecting people from workplace discrimination based on these factors. Federal laws currently protect behavior based on race, sex, national origin, religion, age, and disability. In recent cases, the EEOC has taken the position that harassment based on sexual orientation or gender identity is discrimination because of sex, and therefore is covered under the federal Title VII law. In 2012, the EEOC ruled that transgender-based harassment is prohibited under Title VII. In 2015, the EEOC ruled that harassment based on sexual orientation is also prohibited under Title VII. Although federal law doesn't yet specifically prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity, about half of the states do have state-level protection for employees that fall into these categories. Many cities and counties also have laws to protect individuals that fall into this category, and many companies have adopted company policies that prohibit this type of harassment. Harassment based on religion. Another type of harassment which is on the rise is harassment based on religion. Due to globalization and immigration, many cultures and religions are starting to work together more than ever before. This diversity brings about much positive change and understanding in the workplace. However, it also brings with it the risk of abusive behavior based on religion. An accusation of harassment based on religion is determined similar to sexual harassment. The conditions apply if an employee is coerced or required to abandon or adopt religious beliefs in return for a job benefit or in order to avoid punishment. The individual is harassed based on their religion to the point that it unreasonably interferes with the victim's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. One unique feature of religious-based harassment is that the religious employee can also become the harasser sometimes. Some employees believe their religion requires them to spread their beliefs at work. Balancing the rights of the religious employee with the rights of